Hello and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is John. I'm a full-time eBay seller based in Melbourne, Australia. That means I make my living selling items that I find on Facebook Marketplace, op shops, flea markets. I get given collections to sell on consignment. I get given items to sell for free. Put all that on eBay, and whatever profit I make, that is how I make my full-time living. If you do it on the side or you're looking to make it into a full-time business, this is the channel for you. Stick around, you might learn a thing or two along the way. Today I want to talk about how I feel 2025 is going to go for reselling. The thoughts that are currently percolating in the back of my head are, first of all, your category is not your identity. And it's not meant to sound preachy, but it is acknowledging the fact that if you start out selling clothing or if you start out selling collectibles, it can be easy to go, I am a clothing seller, I am a fashion seller, I am a collectible seller, and not branch out. And the moment things get a little bit tough, the moment sales start to slow down, the moment sales slow down and you've recently heard from somewhere, from someone that affordability is finally catching up to society as a whole, it can be tempting to go, I'm stuck, I don't know what to do. And I just wanted to remind you, you're a reseller. You started selling one category, you have the skill set to sell another one. That's really it. See yourself as just a reseller in 2025. However you choose to structure it, whether you have one of those everything stores that has everything under the sun, or whether you have a bunch of niche stores like I do, where I've got 4 different toy stores, 2 clothing stores now, to split up the sales based on target buyer for clarity. There's a whole video on it. I will link it in the description. The point being is, no matter how you structure it, see yourself as a reseller. You have that skill set. You already know how to spot patterns. You already know how to spot profit wherever you go. So that's the first one. The second thing about reselling that I want to point out is, it's not as much of a secret as you might think. Depending on how long you've been doing this for, and there is no like number where, you know, after 5 years, you automatically become a different reseller. Some people hang on to this mindset for like 10, 20 years because they feel that it is necessary. It's not a secret. Flipping stuff on eBay, Facebook Marketplace, Gumtree, getting a store at the local market, getting a stand at the local vintage, you know, place, antique store, wherever it is that you choose to flip stuff, it's not a secret anymore. So many people do it. And if you stop seeing it as a secret, what you'll find is you'll start to notice, well, more or less every person who does it in your area, whether they do it for one-off items and whether they do it at scale. Case in point, if you just sit outside your house or drive around your local like housing estate for, you know, a day, you will notice every person who drives around looking for hard rubbish, whether they be a hobbyist or whether they do it with a commercial van. They will stop, look around, come out, check out a pile, hop back in and keep driving, generally leaving the car on like a courier does. Get to know these people. And the reason why is because if you get to know these people, getting supply will be so much easier. When you keep it a secret, nobody knows what you do. You have to get all the supply yourself. You have to fight for the supply yourself. And then occasionally you may have to out-thug somebody else at the market because them encroaching in your space feels all hostile and stuff. That's not nice. The longer I've done this, and I'm kind of passing the 6-year mark being a full-time reseller, but I've done this for way longer than that. What I've learned is the more people know what I do, the more they are willing to just give me stuff to sell, because it's the currency to build relationship. Stock. The hardest thing about reselling is not the selling part, it's the sourcing part. And if you're able to bless another reseller, and I say bless very deliberately, not give, not sell or source, but bless, because it's intended to be seen that way. You know, it's intended to be reciprocated that way. Since creating the Discord community, the Meaningful Hustle, I'm very open. I sell toy cars, I sell action figures, Thomas trains, I sell clothing. Whenever a seller happens to find these things, they are looking to have me take it off them, either at a price that is really competitive for me to make money and be blessed, or be given it for free because they are not going to process it, and it doesn't make sense that it just sits there when it can give the benefit to me to make the money and for them to get the goodwill. That's just business. It's not manipulative. It's not It's not hidden agenda. That's business. It happens all the time. If you run any traditional business, you would understand that. And the best part about it is, it has an actual value. If a brand is able to establish relationships and build strong networks, that thing actually has a monetary value called goodwill on a balance sheet when somebody sells a business. So depending on where you're at on the journey, I just want to encourage you, be open, tell people what you do, build those relationships. You only stand to win because you are looking for the win-win. Yeah. And then in terms of trying new things, back to point one, I was motivated to do this video because Tori, the Geelong Flipper, he did a video, I think 2 or 3 days ago, where he was talking about trying new things and just selling it, not just getting over himself and selling stock that he has sitting around, and just finding a way to push past that barrier, whatever that barrier might be. I don't remember specifically what he said, and you should totally check out this video. And if you are not subscribed to his channel, please subscribe to his channel. He is a wholesome individual, and I look forward to really just having him as a friend for a while, because he celebrates other people's wins. He doesn't put a negative spin on other people who may be doing better than him. He's just downright wholesome, wants to see people win like I do, and I've just enjoyed getting to know him. So yeah, go watch that video. I'll link it too. The thing that it got me thinking about was, if you bother to figure out the thing that makes you not do something, you will actually firstly find it out, and secondly be faced with a very simple choice to push through or not. So for example, if it's monetary and you know it, then every activity needs to be targeted towards getting more money in capital, so that you are able to then push past that capital barrier and grow your business, be it buying stock, paying for staff, whatever. If it's processing stuff, processing inventory because your debt pile is growing so high and you've got a buying problem, it's figuring out how to get that staff member in as quickly as possible, rather than just, oh, I guess I'll get them in when because that's that one thing that's causing all that backlog. If it's, I feel like I can't work in a cluttered space because a cluttered space leads to a cluttered mind, have like a working bee, get as many friends and family in as possible, and just clear. If it is sorting through certain types of inventory, don't buy them anymore. Very simple. If it's a fear of not having enough inventory, if you stop buying a particular category, give yourself a very limited test, which is for the next month, only buy that category that you should be buying and not the rest, and really see how much you can find. I've done that for every niche store that I have, and at the height of our Thomas store, we had a 90-day total of $60,000. Can you imagine $60,000 in Thomas trains? A niche category that people never thought I could make a full-time living on. But I bought every single worthwhile lot in Australia. Not in Melbourne, in Australia. I sent courier labels nationally, and realized that for every niche category, there is so much damn stock, I can afford to say no to stock that I really shouldn't be buying because I don't want to process it. And so the same thing would apply for you. Give yourself that test, allow yourself to just buy only one category for 1 month and nothing else. You'll be surprised just how much inventory you can find. The next thing is, if it's about getting into flow, and that's my big one. My big one is, I usually don't get a task started because I foresee that I will not be able to get into flow. And that's dumb, really, when I think about it. And that's me calling myself dumb, because if I have 10 minutes, I can still, I can take 40 photographs in a minute. But instead, I find myself umming and ahhing, I would really like to sit there for an hour, otherwise I don't start. Maybe it's the ADHD. The meds has kind of helped. What I have found to be helpful is the body doubling, and usually it's me hopping onto Discord for half an hour, especially if someone is on there already in one of the voice channels. Hop on, say hello, work. Even if we don't talk, the fact that someone is there, it helps. And so if that's something that would help for you, go join our Discord community. It's called The Meaningful Hustle. It's free. We have voice channels in there where if you hop on, or if you are just wanting someone to know that you're working, there's an accountability channel where now a bunch of ladies have this thing called the Breakfast Club. They literally hop on every morning and just go, #Breakfast Club, this is what I'm going to be doing today. And then the rest of them add in their thing, and then they just update every couple of hours how they're going. Whatever helps you get going, do that. So that's been my thing, and I've kind of just joined the breakfast club of ladies, even though I'm the only dude. But that's besides the point. The point being is, figure out what is that one thing, bother to figure out that one thing that's stopping you from actually making a change and doing something, and then just go do it. Change everything for that one thing, because once that one thing changes, you can go back to all the other things that you're comfortable doing. Because then you're not going to be doing it half-assed. You know, like imagine going to source for inventory when you really shouldn't be and you should be processing instead, and the whole time you're going, oh, but I'm adding one more to the list. You're sourcing at 70% of joy, not 110% of joy, you know? Or if it's, you know, going through your day, and like for me, right, I'll be going, and I finish some days going, I really could have done more with today if I had just not taken those 10 minutes to break or eat or do something when I could have just done a task. Now I'm getting better at just doing a task. And if I can't do more of it, that's fine. And I've also realized that the moment Jen or the kids come home and I have to go and do something else, I will go do that. It's not that hard for me to stop a task now. So then I realized, you know what? I'm just going to start, because if I start and I don't get the enjoyment, I'm not going to persist with it if Jenny says to me, hey babe, dinner's ready, come up, or just stop. You know? So there's definitely a shift in that regard. On a more personal note, the whole ADHD thing, I got my diagnosis, I'm guessing it's like 8 months now, and I've been on the meds on and off. I did like a 3-month stretch, took a month off to kind of just, and I think the docs, I wouldn't say the doctor recommends you to, but they do say to figure out how it's affecting you. And if you've searched up ADHD experience on YouTube, you'll get a bunch of hits from a whole bunch of different industries. Some people say it messes with their creativity. Some people will say like it messes with your hormones. With Mel, it was the hormone thing. Some people will say there's no effect. Some people will say it's made them quieter. It's helped them to sleep more. I've noticed a variety of things with the medication for me. The first one is that it has quietened my brain. It definitely has helped me to go step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Whereas in the past, it was about just do and try and get into autopilot as quickly as possible. And once I'm in autopilot, things get done at a pretty crazy clip, but I've got very little recollection as to how I got there. So it's all a bit of a blur. Like those photography sessions, right, where I'm taking like 1,000, 2,000 photos in one sitting. The 1,000 to 2,000 is not me being, what's the word? Like blasé or like whatever, it's only 1,000. It's because it does feel that way. It's like I sit there, it can be 1,000, it can be 2,000. I'm usually done because my fingers start to hurt or my brain just starts to wander off. That wandering off thing also has happened less. The other thing is with knowing when to stop. I think that's been really cool. The fact that I can notice moments in conversation when I should stop talking, start talking. I'm not as anxious to get going. What I'm noticing with the meds as well is that it has made me calm down socially. And by that I mean, for the longest time I've had sweaty palms because I've just felt nervous in social settings. And since being on meds, I've noticed that sweaty palm thing has more or less gone away, because I'm not constantly trying to battle my head to be present in the moment and being worried that I'm going to be found out. And by found out, you know, like that I'm not paying attention, that I'm thinking about something else, that I'm looking elsewhere, just like, where am I supposed to look? It's funny, one of my friends was saying to me, how do you know if you have ADHD or not, and if the meds are working? And I went, oh, you're talking right now and my brain's telling me she's not done yet. Whereas in the past, it'd be like, my brain would say, look here, don't look there, keep eye contact. Make sure that you don't shake hands because they're sweaty. You know, like just constant, like everything is a signal. And I do envy people who I suppose don't have that, because it's like awareness overload to some extent, and it becomes really tiring. I remember when I used to work in the bank, I would come back home and just take a long 2-hour nap because it'd be with people. But the funny thing is, when I was asked why I enjoyed working in the bank, in the branch where, you know, you'd be taking deposits or whatever it might be, opening accounts and writing loans, I'd say, well, the work might be mundane, but the variety is in the people. And so it's a bit of like a double-edged sword. It's like, on the one hand, it's, you know, it's a great way to enjoy life, having this wiring, but on the other hand, it can bubble over like almost daily, to the point where physiologically there are signs, which for me was sweaty hands, having a stammer. So yeah, and if you follow the channel before the medication, you will notice there's this kind of like because the brain just wants to keep talking, but the mouth just can't keep up. So how do we get here? I think when thinking about reselling in 2025, this year for me in particular, networking, really about getting to know all the people in my space and planting myself, I suppose, in the local economy rather than being purely online. And I know online seems easier, and I can tell you it's not, for a couple of reasons. The first one being that it's easier for everybody to do, thereby making it more competitive for you to take part in if you're not always online. The number of lots that I miss out on online blows my mind. When I used to be online all the time, and I used to, back when I was trying to clean out the whole of Australia of Thomas Trains, whenever I missed out on a lot, I knew the lot I missed out on, and I knew which person won, because I would see it turn up on eBay, I would see it turn up on Marketplace. The moment I started doing, you know, action figures, I think it was Skylanders at the time, there was also the Hot Wheels cars, I would see a bunch of Thomas Trains turn up, then I would not see the lots. And it just told me how many lots I was missing out on because my eyes were not online. And so for people who think that online is easier, it actually isn't. It's very much of a trade-off, and it's to some extent better, wouldn't say better, easier to have a bunch of other people looking for you who don't want your stuff. You know, like the storage unit person who prefers to sell the furniture, the electronics, the perfume, all the tech, the new inbox stuff, but they just don't want the used stuff, and they call you, and you get that whole accumulation of stock. It's that whole my eyes all the time or everyone's eyes some of the time. Which one actually gets me more stock? And you have to work it out for yourself, because it's very much a business by business basis assessment. I might end the video here. I'm gonna go to dinner. There was really no objective to this video apart from sharing some thoughts, and I hadn't done a drive and dive video in a while, so hope you guys are well. Thanks for being here, thanks for listening to me talk about the state of business, I guess. And yeah, be kind to one another, happy reselling, consider becoming a channel member, and also join our Discord community because it's awesome and it's growing, and I love how positive that space is and everybody contributing to make each other better. Take care.